Hi, everyone. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, The After, the podcast for caregivers who have survived the hardest chapter of their lives and are now gathering both the courage and the strength to write the next one. This week's episode brings us to the close of our December healing series. And before we go anywhere new, I want us to pause and really acknowledge what this month has been about. This was a month-long journey of coming home to ourselves after caregiving, after loss, after living in survival mode. December was never about fixing yourself. It wasn't about rushing forward, and it certainly wasn't about pretending the holidays didn't really hurt. This month was meant to bring you back to yourself, slowly and without any pressure. December asked a lot of you. It asked you to face memories, to navigate expectations, to feel the absence of people you loved and roles you once lived inside. And instead of disappearing, instead of overriding yourself, instead of shrinking back into survival mode, you stayed. You learned how to pause instead of push, how to protect your energy instead of explaining it, how to choose yourself, even when that choice felt unfamiliar. And that matters, because healing isn't measured by how much you endure. It's measured by how present you're willing to be with your own life. We began this month with the gentle return, that compassionate re-entry into your own life after caregiving, after loss, after years of living on override. Then we moved into strong enough to begin again, redefining strength not as endurance, but as the willingness to start caring for yourself again, even when you felt depleted. From there, we reached a turning point when survival is no longer enough. That moment when rest alone no longer satisfies us, and something inside you whispers, there has to be more than this. Then last week, we anchored ourselves with, don't lose yourself this December. Learning how to hold your ground through the holidays without disappearing or overextending or betraying your own needs. Each episode was intentionally built on the last, not to rush you forward, but to steady you where you are. You know, I'm proud of you. But more importantly, you should be proud of yourself. Because over the course of this month, you practiced something incredibly important, even if you didn't realize it at the time. You practiced returning instead of retreating, beginning again instead of judging yourself, honoring readiness instead of forcing progress, staying with yourself instead of overriding yourself. And that is not small work. That is integration. Integration is when your mind, body, and emotions finally get a chance to catch up with what you've lived through. When you've been caregiving, especially for a long time, your nervous system stays in emergency mode. Your body and brain learn to prioritize survival over processing. Everything is urgent. Integration is what happens after the crisis ends. It's when your system slowly says, okay, now we can feel. Now we can notice. Now we can settle. That's why healing doesn't happen all at once. And it's why pushing yourself too fast can feel destabilizing. This month allowed your system to integrate, to organize your experiences, to reconnect internal signals, to rebuild trust between your thoughts, your emotions, and your body. You didn't fix yourself this month. You re-established a relationship with yourself. That's the work most people skip. And it's the work that makes real growth possible. This December healing series was never meant to be an answer to all your questions or a solution to everything you're carrying. It was meant to be a foundation, a place where you learned how to listen to yourself again. Stay with feelings instead of avoiding them. Notice your limits. Honor your humanity. To be gentle with yourself. Because growth without self-connection becomes self-abandonment. And as caregivers, we already know what that costs. This month taught you how to stay present so that when movement does come, you don't lose yourself in it. If you're paying attention, you may notice something subtle happening. You're not desperate to move forward, but you're no longer content staying still. That's readiness. The kind that comes after gentleness, after rest, after emotional honesty. That's your system saying, I feel steady enough to expand. And that's exactly where you're meant to be as this year closes. In January, we'll shift, gently but deliberately, into a new series focused on strength. Not the strength you use to survive caregiving, which, let's be very clear, was strength beyond human comprehension and fueled entirely by love. But a different kind of strength. The kind that lets you inhabit your life again. Not performative strength, not hustle strength, but real, integrated strength. Strength in your body, rebuilding trust, capacity, vitality. Strength in your mind, clarity, focus, emotional regulation. Strength in your soul, identity, purpose, self-respect. And strengthen your spirit, hope, meaning, expansion. This January, we will invite you to inhabit yourself more fully, to build, to move, to stretch, without abandoning what December taught you, and without the pressure of New Year's resolutions. So before we close, I want you to do one thing. Acknowledge yourself. For staying present. For learning how to hold yourself without disappearing during a very difficult season. For acknowledging that this month is heavy, no matter where you are in the after. You didn't rush your healing this December. You honored it, and that matters more than you know. So thank you for walking this December healing series with me. Thank you for your courage, your steadiness, and your willingness to stay with yourself, even when it wasn't easy. This month wasn't about becoming someone new. It was about coming back to who you already are and looking forward to the person you're becoming. A new year is coming, and it will be powerful. I'm deeply grateful to walk this journey with you. I'm Thérèse, And this is New York Girl Again, the after. I'll see you in January, grounded, connected, and ready to grow.